Following on from their united front, Taec-yeon and Vincenzo walk away from the press, arm in arm, smiling at each other. They head to a bar to celebrate their semi-victory, and Taec-yeon wants to draw out Babel's real boss. Vincenzo agrees that it's time. Late in the evening, Vincenzo sits in his dark apartment and thinks about Miss Oh. We flash back to him learning from the doctor that his mother has a history of cancer diagnoses. The first time was the same year that Vincenzo was abandoned at the orphanage, which makes him suspect that perhaps she only abandoned him because she was sick. The next day, Jeon Jung-woo receives some bad news. It seems that the hospital director that he has on his payroll has turned witness for the prosecutor's office. The main prosecutor on the case has been a bloodhound intent on bringing down Babel, and now he may finally have the ammo that he needs. Director Gil calls Jeon Jung-woo with a deal. He's willing to keep quiet, but he has two conditions. One is Jeon Jung-woo is not allowed to send assassins after him. But if you think about that, that would really keep him quiet. And the second is to wire a large sum of money into his account. Otherwise, he will disclose Jeon Jung-woo's true identity, as well as the fact that he killed his father, to the prosecutor. Jeon Jung-woo agrees to his terms, but you can so tell that this guy is as good as dead. Meanwhile, in their effort to find out Babel's true boss, Vincenzo and Taec-yeon look into Chairman Jeon's background and notice that he has an older brother. What's curious is that there has been no recent news or pictures of this mysterious brother, and he's apparently living in the States and has never returned, not even for his father's funeral. They're getting awfully close. Are they going to find out about Jeon Jung-woo today? Taec-yeon visits Miss Oh to tell her about their small victory against Shinkwon Bank and the evil family that ruined her life. At this moment, the doctors arrive for their rounds, and we learn that Miss Oh has been refusing to take her medication because they caused some side effects, and the doctors were acting chill about it. Vincenzo shows up and gives everyone a lecture. Miss Oh for being an uncooperative patient, and the doctors for not doing their job diligently. Even though she got scolded, Miss Oh's facial expression shows happiness. Has she figured out that Vincenzo is her son? Because of the shenanigans that Vincenzo and Taec-yeon pulled at the signing ceremony for Shinkwon Bank, banks are still wary of Babel and continue to refuse funding. Jeon Jung-woo orders Chairman Jeon to gather the chief prosecutor and his second-in-command together, as it's time to lean on the political alliance that they have built. While Chairman Jeon hosts the dinner with the two prosecutors, Jeon Jung-woo is listening in on the meeting. The prosecutors mock Chairman Jeon and Babel for their failings recently, which irritates Jeon Jung-woo, who's been looking for a way to release his pent-up anger. That night, on their drive home, their car is attacked and they're kidnapped. They're taken to a container unit, and in walks Jeon Jung-woo with a hockey mask to hide his face and a hockey stick swinging casually at his side. Without a word, he smashes the deputy prosecutor over the head and literally beats him to death. He also threatens the chief prosecutor that if he continues to act arrogant and does not fall in line, his soccer-loving son will face the same outcome as his trusty assistant. He tells his team that it's time to get things back on track, and he warns Chairman Jeon to enhance security so they do not fall prey to enemy attack. I'm not even surprised by the show of force from Jeon Jung-woo anymore. He's definitely a maniac. Elsewhere, Mr. Lee from Gunga Plaza notices some creepy person sneaking into Vincenzo's apartment. He decides to go check it out, and a fight ensues between him and the mystery man. While he did manage to give the guy a pretty good beating, he could not prevent him from escaping. Meanwhile, Vincenzo and Taec-yeon have dinner with the families of Babel Chemicals victims. They have suffered a lot, first with the death of their loved ones, and then with the lawsuit that was heavily against them, and even their relatives hate them for picking a fight with Babel. They are grateful for everything that Taec-yeon and Vincenzo has done for them, and give them both a huge parting hug at the end of the meal. After Vincenzo drops Taec-yeon off at her house, she is attacked by a man who's been hiding at her place. Good thing Vincenzo noticed something strange and doubled back to rescue her. He fights off two men effortlessly, but Taec-yeon is definitely spooked and wonders who sent the order to attack her. Taec-yeon asks if she can stay at his place because she doesn't feel safe at home, but he says no and drops her off at a hotel. Back at the plaza, he learns about the attacker who was hiding in his apartment, and all this gets him into a very bad mood. Not long after, Chae-yeon shows up at Vincenzo's apartment anyway. She is traumatized by the experience and becomes extremely paranoid that everyone at the hotel is trying to kill her. The only safe haven is Vincenzo, so she forces him to allow her to crash at his place. He tells her that she can stay until she feels safe. Unfortunately, his bedroom has been invaded by the friendly neighborhood pigeon. His window must have been left open by the attacker in his attempt to escape. So Vincenzo and Chae-yeon have a sleepover on the couch and the living room floor. How friggin' romantic. They stay up and talk late into the night, and she asks him if he's actually killed anyone. He doesn't give an answer, and she lets him know that she isn't weirded out by the fact that he was in the mafia, and she doesn't believe that he's out to hurt or kill people. That night, Vincenzo's dream reveals the opposite story, where we see that his hands are actually soaked in the blood of others and that he is an expert killer. The next day at breakfast, Chae-yeon sees the news that the deputy prosecutor got into a fatal accident after drinking and driving. Chae-yeon suspects that this could be related to the attack on them last night, but Vincenzo doesn't agree. He states that the death of the deputy prosecutor seems carefully staged, whereas the attack attempts on them were amateur at best, so it doesn't seem to be coming from the same person. Do you guys have an idea what happened? I have my guesses. At breakfast on the other side, Jung Jung-woo tells his brother that he sent someone to Italy to sniff out Vincenzo's dirty secrets. Chairman Jun also reveals that he has sent goons to teach Vincenzo and Chae-yeon a lesson about messing with them. Jung Jung-woo is not only unimpressed by this move, he tells him off for stepping out of line. How about you give him some recognition for being proactive though? Jeez. Jung Jung-woo calls Chae-yeon to check in on her well-being and sees that his beloved woman is staying with his sworn enemy. Way to ruin the morning. Thanks for nothing, brother. Mr. Cho shows up with amazing news that he has collected the iris scan from the museum. So now, as long as they can get the monks to move out, they can get to the gold without demolishing the building. Sadly, the monks politely refuse to move, saying that Vincenzo's perseverance against Babel has inspired them to stay firm as well. This conversation is overheard by another resident of Gunga Plaza, the pretty piano teacher who's also on the lookout for the gold. More news is playing, this time having to do with two banks that refused to fund Babel and are now being investigated for corruption. Connecting the dots between these recent events, Chae-yeon states that clearly Babel is putting pressure on the chief prosecutor to punish those that dare to go against Babel. Chae-yeon then has a breakthrough where she manages to contact the prosecutor in charge of Director Gil's case. They meet with Prosecutor Jun secretly, who shares with them that Director Gil is willing to testify in court if he gets full immunity and is allowed to flee the country after. Chae-yeon also shares with Prosecutor Jun that they know Babel Group's mastermind is hiding his true identity. They suspect that Director Gil must know who the real boss is, and asks Prosecutor Jun if he is willing to take part in a sting operation to help them find the truth. But he refuses because he's an upstanding prosecutor after all. He isn't some crook and doesn't want to play tricks on criminals. He must not be a great prosecutor. Meanwhile, Jung Jung-woo has hired someone to spy on Vincenzo, and recording of the secret rendezvous quickly ends up in his hands. Just as he's deciding what to do with his intel, Chairman Jun brings an envelope to Jung Jung-woo, who gets super excited going through the contents. In the next scene, Jung Jung-woo has a phone call with an American businessman about bringing their painkillers to Korea. The businessman expresses his concern over the legality of this action, and Jung Jung-woo tells him, "In Korea, I am the law." And then, Chairman Jun holds a shareholders meeting and announces that they will resume the production of RDU-90. And he also wants the warehouse security to triple to ensure no explosions happen this time around. It seems the banks that were being investigated have then decided to fund Babel after all. Later on, Prosecutor Jun rings Chae-yeon and tells her that Director Gil has decided to side with Babel and that he's denying his previous testimonies one by one. Without a good alternative, he has decided to join them on a sting operation. However, in true Vincenzo style, this episode takes a sharp, dark turn that shocks everyone watching. Yes, even you. That night, Vincenzo's team shows up at the apartment where Director Gil is being held. They were going to pretend to be Babel assassins and force him to give out the truth. But it is too late because the real assassins have already beaten them to it. They find Director Gil's dead body already turning cold. And that's not all. Chae-yeon receives a text message that turns her blood cold. It was from the victims' families. And it reads that, ultimately, They cannot stand the pain and anger of losing their family members and have decided to leave this world together to rejoin their loved ones. The next day, Vincenzo and Taec-yeon are alerted to an incident and head to the highways. They see a car parked at the side of the road with the dead bodies of all of the victims' families. It's made to look like a group suicide pact. But Vincenzo notices the burning rubble beside the dead bodies, and his facial expression shows that he knows the ugly truth. Just when you think the show is keeping it light, it hits you in the guts with an intense plot twist. After suffering so much and thinking they're coming out the other end, the victims' families actually planned a group trip together to get away and heal their wounds, but evil knows no limits and nothing is sacred. In this drama, we have seen some bad guys meet their much-deserved end, killing each other in an attempt to win power and gain control. But we have seen just as many innocent people get swept into the wars and lose their lives needlessly. It makes me scared about those that's still left. Will the Gunga Plaza residents stay safe? Will Miss Oh get roped into the battle as well? When will this end? And how much needs to be sacrificed? What a bummer, man. How did that ending make you feel? Please comment down below. And remember to subscribe so I can see you in the next episode of Vincenzo. Bye.